yeah, so I lost my phone in Vancouver. Um, Welcome back to the Vibe Hour podcast. My name is Logan, and I'm your host. And you're listening or watching the Vibe Hour podcast. This episode, I have a very special guest joining us later on in the podcast. We have BRB Music. But this first part was a podcast I was supposed to record a little while ago, but just never really got around to it. Was kind of busy, a little bit lazy, but now I'm getting into it. And I'm talking about my experience at seeing NF, my favorite rapper, or one of my favorite rappers. Can't say he's my absolute favorite, but I love his music regardless. And he's a huge inspiration for me. If you don't know, I do make rap music. I'll leave a link for that in the description as well. There's going to be a few links trees in there. There's going to be mine, BRB's, a bunch of things in there. But yeah, so we're going to talk about the show and what the overall experience was. So this was like not my first concert, but it was the first one that I bought tickets to. Like, I bought the tickets myself. I went alone, I went to Vancouver, went to Rogers Arena. I saw the show, NF, and it was a great show, honestly. I think their team put on a very good, what's the word I'm looking for? A very good show, just in general. I think that they, the lighting and the lasers, it was almost like a laser show. I'll show videos on the screen right now. So I'm gonna show a video right now on the screen. Yeah, so that was just a bit of a video from his song "When I Grow Up." That song. And when he's like, "Let's go," and then the fog machines just go, poof, like just all of a sudden just go like that. That was just really, really cool as well. But overall, I think the experience of seeing NF was just nice. It was very nice to get to see somebody that I wanted to see for a long time. And he also, now a funny thing about the concert though was the opener no one's heard of. Like, as I got to the show, and I was talking to like one of the workers at the arena, and he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Wow, when does it?" He's like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "When does it start? What time is the opening act? I don't want to miss anything." He's like, "Yeah. The opening act is gonna go on for a little bit, and then NF will start around 9 or something like that." I'm like, "Cool." So I wasn't really interested in seeing the opening act, to be honest. No one's heard of this guy, by the way. So I just was in the hallway of this arena, just charging my phone, hanging out. But I thought it was really funny that nobody's heard of this guy. He's just a guy from Ontario, Canada. Not even like the most like massive person, but he opened for NF for the Canadian shows. And I think this might be something with our Canadian laws, because I live in Canada, and here in Canada we have to have a certain amount of on the radio, for example, they have to have a number of, like, 1 in 5 songs, I do believe, has to be by a Canadian artist. And I think that's the same for TV or something. We need like a show made in Canada, like for every 1 in 5 shows on a network or something. I can't remember exactly how it works, but yeah, so we have that rule. So I think that might be something with the NF tour. Maybe he has to have a Canadian on board, or I don't know. I don't know how it all works. So, but don't mark my word on that. But yeah, overall, I think the concert was really cool. Just the lights again, the effects, the lasers, just everything. Had a few drinks. It was really good. And then the next day, so let's get into day 2, because this was a 2-day trip. So day 2, I went to the Vancouver Aquarium, which highly recommend. It's very fun. It's not even that much. That's not even that expensive. It's just really cool to go to and to see. I did that, and then yeah. So the reason you clicked on this video, this was probably the teaser in the start of the video. I lost my phone in Vancouver. Yeah, so I lost my phone in Vancouver. And we're going to be talking about that story right now on the podcast. So I went out for some drinks, day 2 in Vancouver. We're nighttime. I'm up on Vancouver, up in Granville Street. Had a few too many drinks, whatever. Okay. Enjoyed my summer. What can I say? But I was by myself. I got in a cab and I was heading to another club. I do believe this is how it happened. I got in a club. I guess my phone fell out of my pocket, but I didn't. I took 2 cabs that night, and the first time I didn't even notice it was missing. Second time I didn't even notice it was missing. So I got out of the cab the second time. I was like, yeah, I got everything. I look, I don't see it. Obviously, I'm not gonna see it because it's in the other cab I took earlier, but I didn't realize this. So I get back to the hotel, pass out, fall asleep. I get up. I slept in a little bit. I'm rushing to get cleaned up and get out the door because I gotta catch a. I live on Vancouver Island, so I gotta catch a ferry to get back. So I'm in a rush, and I have appointments or something going on in town that I have to get back for. So I wake up and I'm like, oh shoot, where's my phone? So I'm like, I'm going on the phone on the at the hotel, and I'm calling my phone, like my cell phone, and no answer. I called my dad. I said, hey, can you track my iPhone? I cannot find my phone. And so we tracked it, and it said it was somewhere over, I don't know, East Hastings or something. And then, anyways, so I said, okay, fine. We'll offer a reward if somebody finds it. Maybe they can contact us, and I can go back and get it because it's not that far of a place to travel for me to travel to. Anyways, so I head back home, back into town here in Vancouver Island, and I look at my phone. Like, this is a phone I lost, but I look at my old phone, and I was like, okay, wait, it says it's at some cab company. So I look at my bank statement just to check, and that was the cab I took on the way to that other cab. I took the same cab twice, but not the same cab, but the same cab company. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But my dad was like, no, because your phone's dead. Why would it be there? I'm like, well, I remembered iPhones have enough juice in them, and they're still findable even when they're dead. So so I called the company. I was like, hi, I think I left my phone in one of your cabs. I took it on Thursday, August 24th, blah, 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 around 1 a.m., that sort of thing. It's a great iPhone 12 Pro. They said, okay, let's transfer you over to our lost and found department. And lost and found was like, yep, we got a phone. You're like, how many cameras? I'm like, it's 3 on the outside. And he's like, yeah. We have one that's really beat up and it won't charge. I'm like, okay, that's probably my phone because my phone, the charging port is actually broken. So I have to go back to Vancouver now. So I go back. So I lost it on Thursday, and I was able to go back and get it on Tuesday. So that was pretty good for me to be able to go get it just the next week. So I go back. I'm using my old phone for directions because I have my plan on this phone now and all that stuff. So I'm using it for directions. And I get there, and it takes me all the way. If you don't know Vancouver, I'll pull up a map on the screen. But if you don't know Vancouver, there's Richmond, Burnaby, Vancouver. Like there's like the 3 places that are really close together, and it's called Central Vancouver. It's kind of like Central Victoria. Anyways, so it took me to Burnaby, and I'm in Burnaby, going to this place. So I go there. I get my phone, I charge it up, I prove it's mine, show them my ID, whatever. So I got my phone back, as you can tell. But yeah, that's the story of how I lost my phone. And yeah, it was just a crazy trip. I learned some things though. Keep track of my stuff better. if I don't need my phone, don't take it out of my pocket, and just be more aware of what I have. And yeah, and just make sure. And if I'm in a cab, have my hand in my pocket, or put my hand over my pocket so it won't fall out or whatever, right? Or don't set it down, put it in my pocket. Like, just make sure I have it at all times, even especially when you're in a cab or something like that. So yeah, that was the story of how I lost and then found my phone in Vancouver. But yeah, so I did tell you in today's podcast we are going to have a special guest. It's a longer podcast, but I am doing timestamps now, if you guys can't tell, of when these things are happening in the podcast. But before we get that, we are going to react to this artist on the podcast. So, yeah, we're going to react to him. Let me just pull it up real quick. Spotify. There it is. This is a song, Tropics. Ooh, fire. When I'm focused on what's more than just a day, yeah. Dream, I ain't got another option. Taking risks, yeah, I cannot be cautious. Half the time I've been feeling exhausted. Been through heat like we in the tropics. Getting stronger in the word, red Colossians. In his presence I'm trying to get lost in. Hey. He strengthens me when I'm walking. Christ in the center like we in the tropics. Going on through the days. Anyways, that is a little bit of his song Tropics. Now we're going to get into the interview with BRB Music. Let's get into that right now. Welcome to the Vibe Hour Podcast. I'm here with BRB Music, or also known as Brad. So how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic, bro. Sophomore year of college is going well. It's a blessing trying to balance music time for it as well with recording and marketing it. So, but it's been great, man. Can't complain. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for coming on the podcast and giving some time today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, bro. I got you. It's always an honor to be on the podcast. So,
yeah. So the first question I have for you is, like, can you tell us about, like, how you got into music and, like, how did that happen? Like,
yeah. So I started listening to like rap and stuff like that around 7th grade, around there. So, which is around like at this point, like 7 years ago, something like that. And I just really started to enjoy listening, and I wanted to start making my own. So I don't know if you guys know the "Look at Me" beat by XXXTentacion. Like not the most Christian beat by any means, but just the beat. Like I would take the beat and I would write like 45 to 50-second raps with like the same cadence over and over and over for the whole time. I did that probably like 4 or 5 times. And then fast forward to 9th grade, I got asked to perform for a chapel at my school. And so that was my first time ever writing a full song, and also my first time ever performing. And so it was really just an adjustment. But also once I did that and I saw the response, I was like, I really want to take this seriously and do it more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're a Christian rapper, right? You would classify yourself as a Christian rapper, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So how would you say that Christianity has impacted your music?
That's good, bro. I think mainly in the past, it's mainly been shown for me, like through my music in the past year or two, like really just letting the spirit lead, like really trying to invite the spirit into every song I write and just making him a part of that process, because ultimately, like I have to keep that in perspective. That's what the music is about, is, drawing closer to Christ and, part of following the Great Commission. So I think, I just try to involve Christ and involve God and point people back to the source every time I make a song. And no matter what the topic is, I try to tie it back in. So, yeah, man.
And like, what inspired you to combine passion for rap and Christianity? Like, was there just a spark, or like what initiated
Hmm.
it?
Yeah, I think honestly it came down to like I'm passionate about rapping, right? And I'm passionate about spreading the gospel, especially this past year or two. So it's like, why not combine them and do both at the same time? That's efficiency right there. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And all of your songs, they always have like good messages in them, as well as having a good vibe. Um, like what's your creative process like for making a song?
Okay, so honestly, it varies like a lot depending on the situation. There have been times where um, like a situation has happened and I'll talk about it. I'll like make a song about it and I'll get the whole song. Like there was one song I got it done, like produced from scratch. Well, obviously I like sampled the melody, but everything else produced from scratch. Lyrics written from scratch, everything recorded and mixed, ready to go in like 90 minutes. Like that's the
Wow.
fastest I've done it because like it was off a specific situation and it just happened. So I was like going off of that and feeding off that energy. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, Usual song, I'd say it's a process, bro. Like a lot of times, especially with getting features, bro. Getting features takes a long time sometimes to get those verses back. So that really can be a huge factor in how long it takes for you to finish a song. But in terms of solo songs, like sometimes I'll feel inspired with something. Like honestly, bro, this is actually pretty funny. But a big part of my creative process, whenever I go on flights, for some reason, when I'm on airplanes, my creative process with
Hmm.
songwriting is just on go because I have nothing else to do. So I just write like probably at least two songs a flight usually, bro. So like
Yeah.
I don't know if you know my songs. Like I'm trying to think which ones like Balance, Pura Vida, I don't like No Limits, Genuine. Like those are all songs. I think I wrote all of them and like two more. I wrote them on the flight to and from Costa Rica last March. So it's crazy, bro. Like two or three songs a flight. So that's one aspect of it. And then also when I'm just here, you know, like sometimes I'll try to get songs done and like really like if there's a topic that's on my heart or a situation that's happened, like I said, I really try to delve into that and really feed into that so that I can inspire people through the music and also they can relate with what I'm facing as well, ultimately pointing them back to Christ. And yeah, man, so it definitely does vary a lot. There have been times where like I'll one time a few weeks ago I tried to produce and record a song as quick as possible and produced it from scratch and like freestyle a
Hmm.
hook and verse. Did the whole thing in like 25 minutes, but obviously didn't mix and master any of it. But uh, it was actually a decent concept to be honest. So it's kind of funny how that works out. So I mean, there's a lot of ways to approach it, but I think ultimately just inviting the spirit into the process and trying to let him lead you in making the music. I think that's the most valuable thing, and I'm trying to work on that and
Hmm.
make them more. But that's it, bro. It's the creative process is fun, man. So
So do you start with finding the beat, or like what do you start with? Do you start with writing, or what do you start with?
okay, so pretty much, I think there's only been one or two times that this hasn't been the case, but almost every single time I'll find the beat or I'll make the beat and then I'll write the lyrics because I don't know, for me, like the lyrics have to match the vibe of the beat, you know?
Hmm.
Um, I feel like it's harder to make a beat around lyrics than make lyrics around a beat because like sometimes, like there have been times too where I haven't even like, I've had a beat from like either I made or Mel Beats probably produced it for me or something, my boy. Shout out to Mel Beats. But
Yeah.
um, sometimes I'll just like I'll be listening to the vibe of the beat and it'll give me inspiration for a certain topic to talk about, you know. Or literally like there have been a couple of times where the name of the beat, like if Mel Beats sent it to me, like the title of the beat has inspired me like make a song like for Genuine. That's an example, bro. The name of the beat that he sent me was called Fraud. Um, and I was thinking on that lines, you know, it was making me think about that. And then also the past from last year, the beat name was past. So like, you know, a lot of these topics can just draw inspiration from a lot of different ways and like yeah, but definitely beat first to
Beat first.
answer.
Um,
Yeah.
what song took the longest to make?
Ooh, shoot. Okay. I gotta think, bro. There's so many songs that. Okay, are we taking into account feature time, like time it takes for you to get back a feature?
Yeah, and all that, like every aspect, just total
Okay,
time.
guess what? The one that's coming to mind right now is Takeoff, which I dropped like 2-ish months ago, around there,
Hmm.
month and a half ago. I recorded that song in May of 2022, last year. Um, and I pretty much had my part done late May last year. And honestly, I'm not trying to bash anyone, but the process just took a long time. So I'm not even like get the verse back, but just to get a day that we could agree on to actually drop it. So like that's one instance of like the feature is the reason why it takes a lot longer. So it literally took a year and 2 months after it
Oh
was done,
wow.
or after, so a really long time. And then there was one time where I was waiting on the feature for a year, and there was a bunch of back and forth, and eventually it just didn't work out. Um, solo song. I'm trying to think of the solo song that's taking the most amount of time. One that came to mind, bro, is On the Clock. So I had the chorus done, the verse done,
Hmm.
and by the way, the first verse was different, bro. Um, like I'm sure you've listened to it, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've s- yeah, I've definitely have.
Like the first four bars where it's like, they'd be like, "Why you Christian?" That was the same, but then
Hmm.
after that, instead of like a fast part, it was like slow.
Oh wow.
Um, so then I went. I don't even know when I made this song. Like probably like August or September last year. Then I went back in and I changed that part of the first verse. But um, you know how like the beat switches to a lower melody in the second verse?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like when the after the hook in the middle, I dropped the melody and the melody's a lower pitch. Bro, on that verse, I was stuck on it for probably a few months. I was like, I don't know when I'm gonna talk about this part. This is a switch up. This is weird. I don't know what I'm gonna say. So I like 2 or 3 months I couldn't come up with anything. And then I just took a break from it. And then I came back to it, and thankfully I was able to drop something and get that song done. So I mean, yeah, it really varies a lot, anywhere from 90 minutes to a year. So
And how do you record? Are you recording at home, or have you been in studios, or?
yeah, so I have a pretty solid setup at my house now. So that's what I've been using, and I've learned how to mix and master fully independent, and then producing. Like I said, a lot of times, shout out Mel Beats again. A lot of times, well, and pretty much now my production is pretty much either me or him producing it. So yeah,
Yeah, I've been meaning to work with him on some stuff soon, so it'd be cool. Also,
that,
Carter
bro, he's
Metro.
yeah, Carter's dope, bro. I haven't worked with him in a minute though, but I have one unreleased song that's a really old that I might drop that he produced. So that should be good too. Featuring, actually, I'm not gonna spoil who that song's featuring. It's a surprise.
Yeah. um. All right. Like, do you ever try to make your music like good for everyone to listen, not just Christians, or are you geared more towards Christians?
Okay, this is a really good question. I think sometimes it's hard because you almost want to have that debate, like, how do I have that fine line between like, okay, unbelievers can listen to this, right, and still hear the gospel and not want to turn it off. And on the other side, like, Christians, genuine Christians should be able to enjoy it too. But what I'm starting to kind of realize is like either way, we should be preaching the gospel and like not compromising on it just because we want unbelievers to listen to it. Like a really good example is Holby. Like um, he has 2 million monthly listeners,
Mm-hmm.
and he's Jesus every single song. You know what I mean? And so I don't now with how it is. I don't think you even have to compromise, and you can still make a living off your music if you're properly maximizing your income. And so that's what I'm going to try to work towards over the next few years. Yeah.
Um. Yeah. So are there any like in your songs? Is there any like specific Bible verses that you can like relate to a song or that you've used in a song that you really like?
Yeah, there's been multiple songs this year that have been like primarily based on scripture. Hold on, let me get the word out right now. Okay, so my song "Downcast" that dropped in late February. was actually fully based on Psalm 42, which is it's not a song of David, but it's a song of the sons of, I don't remember. Hold on, I'm pulling it up. The sons of Korah. And one thing I really like about it is just talking about like thirsting for God in the midst of being downcast, in the midst of going through trials, right? And verse 5 and 11 is the same thing, but I'm going to read it. It says, "Why are you cast down, O my soul, and why are you in turmoil within me? Hope in God, for I shall again praise him, my salvation and my God." And so that was kind of the premise of the song too. Was like, um, at the end of the chorus, I say, because also in verse 10 it says, "As with a deadly wound in my bones, my adversaries taunt me while they say to me all day long, where is your God?" And so you can see like those lyrics. Like I'll just like say some lyrics from the chorus right now, like that, literally like almost word for word from the chapter. Like, why are all these bad things happening? When I fall, I don't know why I had to sin. People gonna say to me, where's your God? Many be saying that he is a fraud. When I'm in doubt, I'm gonna go to my rock. Gotta give him the truth, not much time on the clock. Facing mortal agonies while I've been through catastrophes. But even facing mortal agonies while I've been through catastrophes. But even if I don't know why it's happening, I'll still praise him regardless. Um, so it's just really powerful, bro. Really powerful stuff. So that's one song that I can name that is specifically based off that. And then I really like this one too. My song "Ring" that dropped like 2 or 3 months ago. That song is based on Revelation 3:20, which I'm pulling up right now. There's Jesus talking, and he says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and eat with him, and he with me." So what I did with that song is I like took that as a metaphor, right? Like Jesus is ringing the doorbell to these people's hearts, and it's up to them to choose if they want to open the door or not. So that's why it's like, ring, you're knocking the door and it's open the king. So yeah, I mean, those are multiple examples. I could give more, but wanted to highlight those two because those are probably two of my favorites. So yeah.
Okay. Is like, who do you listen to in the Christian rap genre? Like, who do you think you're most like?
Yeah, sorry, bro. I just had a call real quick. I just hung up. I'd say my top three right now, bro. Probably um, Holvey, Caleb Gordon, Miles Minnick. I
And
say that's probably my top.
and do you think are you is your style like theirs, or?
Um, I don't know. I think my style is like a mix of stuff, especially with what I'm like dabbling into right now. Like I'm going with some drill, some melodic rap, some high rap. So I'm kind of mixing it up, kind of messing around, seeing what performs best, and really honing in on what my sound is. But like I'm having a lot of fun doing all these different sounds right now, bro. But it's still within rap. So yeah.
Um, yeah. So, do you have a favorite song you've made?
Oh, favorite song I've made. Okay, released. If we're talking, I'll say released and unreleased. Released is probably, that's actually a really hard question. Maybe Ring or On the Clock. I really love those two. I mean, I like all my music, otherwise I wouldn't drop it, but I really like those two. And then unreleased, I mean, you guys wouldn't know the song anyway, but I'm trying to think. I have like 14 to 15 songs on the vault now that are all almost ready to go. So
Oh, wow.
it's pretty solid. I'm building it up, but maybe a song I have called Redemption, and I'm gonna get a big feature on that, who I'm not naming at this time, but it's gonna be hype once it's done. My part is done. I'm just waiting on the feature.
Do you think you're gonna ever drop an album?
Okay. So technically, I did drop the album like 2 years ago, but I don't really count it. I'm probably gonna delete it soon anyway because it's not on the par where I'm at now. But yeah, I think eventually I will drop an album. Like currently, I'm open to the idea of like dropping an EP or something like that. I might do that near the end of this year. Um, there's two songs I've done with a couple of friends that are like very different from my usual style. So we were thinking about doing those two songs, and then there's a friend I have who does spoken word, and we are thinking about having him do an interlude, and making it like a 3-song EP. So the listeners heard it first. I haven't told that to anyone else yet, but that might be something that's in the works right now.
Yeah,
And
yeah, you guys heard it here.
and then for albums, like honestly, my mindset has gotten like to the past year or so. Like honestly, like I have to be real with myself. Like I have 500 or 600 monthly listeners consistently. Like now, it's like if I drop an album, like a 30 to 40 minute album, how many people are gonna take the time to listen all the way through? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I drop a single, 2 to 3 minute single every 4 weeks, people are a lot more likely to take that time out of the day. So that's where I'm at with that right now. But once I get to like 20K monthly listeners, that's when I'm gonna start considering making an album. So probably a
Okay.
few years down.
So you got a lot of things in the work, things that we gotta get excited for. Um, I have a couple more questions before we go, and one is, do you feel like being a Christian rapper is separates you from the industry? Like, do you think it's harder for you, or limits you, or stuff like that?
Hmm. That's an interesting question, bro. I think, I mean, it does, like, sure, it restricts your reach in the sense that most unbelievers that are listening to mainstream artists are not going
Mm-hmm.
to rock with what you're doing, like especially if they're like adamantly against Christ. But I think there's still a market for it. I think it does separate you from the industry in the sense that, look, I'm not going to be talking about the same things that you guys are talking about. I'm not going to be glorifying these things that are clearly up the world, you know? And so I think it does separate you in that way. But I don't think it separates you in the sense that, like, you can't do well, you know? Like, because as Christian artists, we're still in the music industry as in a sense, because, you know, we're still making music, you know? Um, But I think it just comes down to being in the world, not of it. Like it says in John 16, I think. Let me make sure I'm not misquoting that real quick. Hold on. John 15. 15, 8, 15, 18, starting there. If the world hates you, know that it has hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love you as its own, but because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. So, we're in this world, we're not of it. So there's obviously going to be opposition that comes against us, and believers that have that spirit inside of them are not going to rock with Christian music. That's what I said.
Do you have for the future? Do you have any plans for like tours or live performances? Like, are you gonna do more of those, or maybe not tours, but I mean like live performances?
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, I don't think I'm going to be planning a nationwide tour the next year, but
No.
um, God's been opening some doors though. Like I performed in July at the city event in Boynton, which is like a city 20 minutes from where I'm at, and it went really well. And it's just kind of like occasional performances here and there. Like I'm performing in probably November at this walk, like it's the Walk for Christ parade. Shout out to them. It's gonna be like a parade with cars and everyone walking. Gonna be blaring music and performing as like the cars are going by. So it's gonna be cool. Cool opportunity to minister, and then yeah, I'm just excited to see what doors God open, like God will continue to open. Might have a big performance next year, but that's in the works too. So it's all in God's timing. I'm content with where He has me right now, and excited to see what He brings in the future. And like there have been so many times like that God has confirmed it to me. Like I can give you one example. Like this was December 2021, and for those of you who don't know this, Logan, I don't think you know this either, but my birthday is on Christmas Day, right?
Oh, I
And
think, yeah, I think you've told me that before, or I saw it somewhere. Yeah.
yeah, so this was, like I said, December 2021. Is someone I followed for like, we followed each other for like 2 or 3 years. I don't know in person, but we're cool, on social media. She texted me like, happy birthday. And like, um, I just wanted to tell you, I had a dream that you were performing in front of a big crowd, but I don't know any of the other details, right? So I was like, thank you. Like, I was like, oh, that's crazy. And that was Christmas morning, right?
Mhm.
Now, bro, people never reach out to you Christmas Day in general, right? I mean, like besides saying Merry Christmas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I performed in my friend's church 2 weeks prior, and I met this pastor there. And so he texted me that same afternoon that the girl texted me and said, call me. And he basically was telling me about what ended up being my biggest performance to this day. It was at a camp in Central Florida. Probably like I performed 2 nights. Probably first night was like 200 to 300 people. Second night was like 300 to 400 people. So that was just like a huge moment of confirmation. Like, bro, like that was like a vision. Like God put that person in my life. They told me about this, and then boom, I got a call on Christmas Day to tell me that this is happening. It's just like unbelievable, you know?
Wow. That's that's wild. Like just Christmas Day getting like good news like that, and just yeah. Um. Yeah. Is there any artists that you would really like to work with in this year?
This year, so are we talking like artists that I think I actually will work with, or like huge artists that I want to eventually work with?
Like people that you think that you actually could work with this year?
Okay. Hmm. All right. There's one I want to say, but I'm not gonna spoil it because I mean, I'm gonna feature him on the song I was talking about earlier, but that'll be a
Okay.
surprise. But some other artists that would be dope to work with that I can maybe work with if I was willing to invest some money. Probably like Joey Bontes. Uh, who else is in that range? I don't know. People in like the 20 to 30K listening range would probably be dope. Um, there's a lot. There's so many good Christian artists out there, man. So maybe I have collabed with a lot of people. So it's kind of hard off the top of my head to think of people that are like in that range, like in the range of where I can work with that I want to work with. I might get another one with Joseph Golden. We got one January of last year, but might work on another one. Who else? Who else? Um, I worked with Zay Hill. I mean, I don't know. I've done a lot of collabs. There's not really no one really I can think of off the top of my head besides that. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a good year of collabs regardless. I got a decent amount of collabs in the works. Gonna get one with my boy Mike Malages, if you know him. Uh, and maybe another one with LSC Flame. That's a big maybe though. Uh, I'm saying the ones that I can say without spoiling a massive feature because I've worked with both of them in the past, so it's not spoiling a big feature, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
How did you find the girl for Pura Vida? Like, how did you find that person?
that's honestly a great question. I think a lot of times, like, there are people I'm connected with on Insta, like through my music account, and it's like, how did I meet this person? But I think a lot of times, I think with her, it was, I think I got added to this artist group chat like 2 years ago, and I think she was in it. I'm pretty sure that's how we connected. And then through the past, I was just connecting with a lot of people, and like that's kind of my circle has grown now to like nationwide. I know a lot of people nationwide, which is very helpful. But yeah, I don't remember. I think I just wanted someone who could speak Spanish to drop a verse on it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I ended up with her about it. And she said she was down. So yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's always cool to get different cultures or different like languages sometimes on the song or something like that. That's pretty cool. I think that's it. I think that's all I have for today. We're coming up to our 30-minute mark, and yeah, so I just want to thank you again for coming on the podcast. I'm gonna leave your link tree in the description on the YouTube. Yeah, I think that's all I can do. I don't think I can do that on Spotify, but yeah, so we're gonna leave the link tree in the description. Definitely check them out, and I'm excited to hear more things from you and in the future.
yes, sir. Hey, since I made it to the podcast this far, I'm gonna go ahead and leak a couple things real quick.
All right.
Uh, I don't know when this is dropping, but Trust in You is dropping this Friday with Joshua Matthew, my boy. Um, and then this Friday, September 15th, for reference to when you guys are listening to this. And then after that, 4 weeks, I'm probably going to be dropping a song called Sunoco, which is a melodic hype song. And then 4 weeks after that, I'm just spelling my whole release schedule at this point, but I don't care. 4 weeks after that, I'm dropping a song called Winning, which is a hype drill song. Probably that's probably one of my favorites I've made too. And we have some merchandise dropping for that, so that's going to be crazy. and then possibly a music video too. So a lot of good things on the way.
Oh yeah, you're doing more music videos now. Like you used to not do as much, but you're doing more now. It's
Yeah,
really
I'm
incredible.
trying to. I'm like that. So
I'm trying to do some music videos. I have a hard time syncing up audio, so I'm thinking of doing just visuals rather than having performance shots.
yeah, yeah, it can be annoying syncing it up sometimes. Like I've done this like millions of times on CapCut at this point with my like posts on Instagram, so I just kind of learned it pretty well. But it is annoying for music videos because all those small takes, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, I talked to the guy who edited your Ring video. He
oh,
suggested
that's right.
Premiere Pro for the auto syncing feature, but again, that costs money, so I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways, yeah,
that's awesome.
this will probably come out either this Friday or next Friday. So
All right, sounds like a plan. Everyone listening, follow Christ, be bold for Him, follow the Great Commission.
yeah.
Let's get it.